Welcome to this episode of Let's Chat With. Joining me is Terra Jackson. Terra Jackson is a three-time Spartan Dekafit champion. She's a personal trainer, also a recent participant in the 2022 European Hydrox Championships, and currently can be seen in the latest season of the Spartan Games Special Warfare event on YouTube. So Terra, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks.
So, you're a recent participant in the Hydrox European Championships and finished fifth. Firstly, what is a Hydrox event?
So a Hydrox event is kind of like a mix between CrossFit and running. So it's 8 running stations of 1,000 meters and then 8 workout stations that include ski erg, sled push, sled pull, burpees, row, lunges, and wall balls.
So what made you want to take part?
So I've been competitively Spartan racing, obstacle course racing the last 8 years. And Hydrox just came over to the United States right before COVID, actually. And I was really interested in it. And then everything got shut down. Coming into 2021, they started reopening events again. So I did my first event last year. And I come from a background in running. So I ran D1 track in cross country at UNC Wilmington. And I've always been kind of like a bigger athlete. So like really strong, but not like your typical looking runner. So events like Hydrox, Spartan Race have always interested me because, you know, you're able to combine like the size that I have also with the speed that most events don't offer.
So how did it feel when you finished fifth?
I was really pumped. I passed the last girl, and like you have to do 100 wall balls at the end, which is you like squat and throw a 14-pound ball to a target. So I actually came into the wall balls at 6th and was able to pass her to finish on the podium. So I was really excited.
You also do Spartan races. What is a Spartan race?
So a Spartan race is kind of like military style obstacles in trail running. So you have stuff like monkey bars, cargo net climbs, rope climbs, barbed wire crawls, all like arranged on like a 3 to 13 mile trail.
So what is it like doing a Spartan Dekafit event? What is that?
So a Dekafit's very similar to Hydrox. It's 10 500-meter runs, and then in between each run is a station, and they're all pretty similar to Hydrox. So both those events are kind of like what I've been focused on this year, because they're kind of cool in that you know exactly what to train for. So when I compare it to CrossFit, like CrossFit, when you go into a CrossFit event, you might not know what events you're going to compete in until maybe like a week or sometimes even like the same day. You might not know what you're going to do. So with these events, you know exactly what to train for, and the events are the same every single time.
What's it like being a 3-time Dekafit championship? What does that mean to you?
So the sport is like pretty new, but I mean, I've competed against a lot of my friends that have also run Spartan races. So for me, I wouldn't say it means anything to me, but it feels nice to like be at the top of my sport.
What is your training schedule like for events like those?
10 to 11 workouts a week, and about 15 hours between running, rowing, weightlifting. So it's pretty involved. Definitely training for like these multi-day events, like having back-to-back training days that are pretty intense is very helpful, because your body learns to like have a big effort and then turn around the next day and still be able to perform well.
In 2017, you took part in the second season of NBC Spartan Ultimate Team Challenge as Team Sweet Carolina. What was it like for your team to participate?
Oh, it's super fun. So I actually just got like Facebook memories from that event. We didn't do so well, but it was me and like 4 of my closest friends. So it was like a really cool like experience to be on the TV show and get to be a part of something like that.
Now people can see you on the YouTube series, the Spartan Games Special Warfare event for the second season. How did that come about for you?
Yeah, this is the second season. So I watched the first season on YouTube and I was like, man, that's something like I really think I could do good at. Because again, like I talked about, it combines a lot of like endurance, but also a lot of strength. Invite 8 men and 8 women out. We went out to Big Bear, Big Bear, California. And we didn't know any of the events when we went out there. So I kind of had an idea of what we were going to do just from like the season before. But it was like, kind of like I said, like with CrossFit, that some of the events last year were like 6-hour mountain bike, 6-hour run. Luckily there was nothing like that intense, like that long of a duration this year. And I was like, didn't want to turn down the opportunity.
What does this event compared to others you have participated in before feel like?
So for me, just being there, being invited was like huge, because I'm competing against like some of the best people in my sport. Lindsay Webster, who's like with the Spartan Racing, she's like been the world champion for like the last several years, and she's like very well known in the sport. And then the Hydrox events I do, the girl that is the world champion, Lauren Weeks, was there. So I'm like competing against a lot of these women that I like admire and look up to. So it was kind of cool just being there.
Other than the fitness angle, what does it mean to compete for you to compete in these type of events?
I really like the idea of pushing myself. So these sports, while you're in competition with other people, like a lot of them have, like I said, they're the same. So you're also competing against the clock and competing against yourself. So I can kind of gauge like where my fitness is from my performance versus like in Spartan racing, all the courses are so different. The terrain is different. It's hard to really like compare your performances side by side unless you run the same exact course, which normally isn't even the same each year. So it's hard to gauge like personal progress in events like those. I'd compare it, I guess, more similarly to road running, which is my background. So you can see like your progress through the months and the years. So see how your training's working. So for me, I'd say I like the aspect that I can see personal improvement.
Do you have any interesting stories you can share about traveling for these events or competing in these events?
Well, I did just, like I said, like we talked about, I just went to Maastricht, the Netherlands. So that was my first international race. So that was pretty cool, like being able to go overseas and compete with the European athletes. Other than that, I would say nothing is very like stands out in my mind. Like I've had a lot of cool races. Oh, I did go to Abu Dhabi. I lied. That wasn't my first international race. In December, I went to the Spartan World Championships in Abu Dhabi, and that was probably one of the coolest races that I've ever done because it was 14 miles up and down like sand dunes. So you're in the middle of the desert. I didn't hydrate, or I didn't bring appropriate hydration and fuel. So about half a mile from the finish, I started cramping really bad. And I actually ran the age group division in this race, but I was running first for all age groups. And I started cramping the last like half mile and like lost my first place. But it was such a cool experience that like it didn't even really matter to me. I had a great time.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to try their hand at either Hydrox or Spartan racing?
Definitely to build like a solid running background, because that running is like the backbone of all these sports. Like while there's like still other stuff like kind of sprinkled in, majority of it is running. I'd say for your first one, just have a good time, go in with like little expectations and just like enjoy the race, because they are a lot of fun. The community is incredibly great. I've met some of the most amazing people through my travel and my races. So I would say just enjoy the experience.
You also took part in the Steve Austin Broke Skull Challenge. What was that like?
I grew up being a big wrestling fan, so I love Stone Steve Austin. So it was really cool just to meet him. Like if I was 10 and you asked me, he would probably be like one of my heroes. Maybe not as much now, but it was really cool meeting him. The show is very like hand-to-hand combat and strength. So one of the first events was like wrestling in a water trough. So I'm not very like aggressive. Like in the Spartan Games, there was also wrestling. So like hand-to-hand stuff is not really my forte. Again, it was one of those experiences. It's really cool being invited. It's cool being there and getting to meet these people. But it was a little out of my comfort zone for sure.
You are entering the domain of hybrid athletics. What is hybrid athletics?
So hybrid athletics, I would say, is multiple domains that you have to be like proficient in. So running, rowing, skiing, biking, like so these multi kind of sport events that involve like endurance, strength. So you have to be a very well-rounded athlete.
You're a personal trainer for all ages, focusing on helping aging bodies thrive. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, I'm a personal trainer in Wilmington, North Carolina. And the majority of my clients are over the age of 65. So most of their goals are mobility, maintaining their strength, just being able to enjoy the retirement years and improve their health. So for me, I know a lot of people go into personal training because they want to work with athletes. And like, that's like kind of a lot of athletes get into it because they're really into working out. But I get a lot of satisfaction in being able to like help people stand out of chairs without assistance, make like their everyday lives easier, help them move without pain. So that's usually my goal for most of my clients, is to help them lead like the most active lifestyle they can as they start aging. So a lot of my clients are in their 60s and they're doing these events with me. They do Spartan racing. A few of them are going to do the Dekafit that's coming to Wilmington. So they're all like your atypical like 70-year-olds. So they're really cool. They do triathlons. So it's really, I mean, they inspire me too. I hope to be at that level when I'm.
Besides reaching their fitness goals, what do you hope they take away from your time with you?
I hope that they can take away that not to set limits for themselves, like stuff that they think that they can't do because they're old or they have. I have one client that has MS, and she has like the best mentality you could ever imagine. She never says that she can't do something, and most of the time, like, she's able to do it. So I would hope to instill in people that you don't know if you can't do something if you don't try, and just because you can't do it doesn't mean you won't ever be able to do it. So always having an open mind and never setting limitations on yourself.
You said before that you attended the University of North Carolina, Wilmington. This is where you got your degree in physical education and health. Why physical education and health program?
So I thought that I wanted to work with kids in the schools. I grew up as an overweight child, and I was really passionate about helping young people learn about health and fitness and stay active and learn healthy eating habits. But I realized pretty quickly that having 30 students at one time was not really for me. I like children, but like in very small doses, and to be in a classroom for 8 hours a day definitely takes a special kind of person and patience. At least with my personal training clients, I can, if you give them direction, if they don't want to follow my direction, it's whatever. But if the children aren't following your direction and you can't lead your classroom, then that's a whole different story. So for me, it was not a good fit.
Also at the University of Wilmington, you were a Division I collegiate track and cross athlete. How did you get involved in their program?
So I've been running since I was 11. I've been a competitive runner all through high school. I wanted to stay in state and be able to be part of a running program, and being near the beach was nice. So I found UNCW, and I was going to be able to run on their team. Drove my way to the beach, and I've been here ever since.
Why is running so important to you?
Running's always been like an outlet for me. So people, like, if you're stressed or you're upset, like, I've always been able to go out for a run and clear my head. It's been like kind of like my time, but also it's a very social. So a lot of my friends are runners. Between like being able to like de-stress and like forming a community, running is like such a big part of my life.
Finally, where can people find you online? Website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram?
Instagram, Terra Nova Trainer. That's where most of my content is. I like to do a lot about obviously fitness, but I'm really involved in like talking to people about diet and eating disorders and raising awareness in our community about healthy body image, healthy eating for athletes.
Well, thank you, Terra, for joining me on this episode of Let's Chat With.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.